I am the world builder. As I sit in my study, surrounded by these books, potions, artifacts from an ancient age, I think to myself, I am the game master. What world shall I create? What gods? What countries? What caverns? What chilling castles and monstrous deeds will happen in this world? I shall create my next campaign. And that is what we will be doing today. Thanks for joining us on GM Tips. For the next several weeks, we'll be walking through creating a campaign from scratch in Scabbard, with the whole idea to give you an idea how to use all the tips that we've learned over years of using this tool, and also maybe to give you some thought processes on creating your own campaign from the worlds and lands and countries and castles to the NPCs, monsters, traps, notes, items of great value. From beginning to end, we'll show you all the tricks that I have learned over the last year. This is Ravensmaw, and thanks for joining me on GM Tips. All right, again, thanks for joining me here on GM Tips. If you like what you're about to hear, make sure you hit the like and subscribe. We're going to be talking today about our sponsor, which is Scabbard.com. Now, over the last several years, there's been a lot of feedback. In fact, there's a fantastic forum on Facebook regarding Scabbard. If you haven't joined it, if you're using Scabbard, great. If you don't use Scabbard, no biggie, because you're still going to get some great ideas out of what we're going to talk through for the next several weeks, which is creating a campaign from scratch, the kind of steps your brain might need to go through. And you could do all this on a piece of paper. You could do all this in a notebook. You could do all this in a Google Doc or a Word doc or something like that. You could do it in any campaign software, but we're going to do it in Scabbard. That's what I use. I like it because it's super simple. And there's been some new users who've given us some terrific feedback about some of the stumbles that they've experienced in getting started in a campaign. So today we're just going to walk through some basics. All right, we're going to go through this, definitely a 101, so you may want to skip on to some of the other ones, no big deal, but we're just going to start from scratch. Absolutely new to doing this. This is the place to start. All right, so here's what I'm at. I'm at Scabbard login, and I'm actually just going to log into my Scabbard page. I'm Ravensmaw, so you'll see a couple of my campaigns here, but we're going to click this plus button right here. I'm going to start a brand new campaign to do just for this whole series of videos. Okay, here is our new campaign. So right now I have a completely blank slate. I have no idea where I'm going to go with this. Oh goodness, I think I am going to go for something rather straightforward for this series of videos. We're gonna make this a sort of mountain campaign. So we're gonna make it a mountain campaign, and in this campaign, there are two gods of two different mountains, and warring factions between them. And we'll just call this right now. We're gonna call it the War of the Mountain Gods, and that is our new campaign. Brief summary. Okay. This should be something rather simple. You should mention a theme in here somewhere when you do your brief summary. So I think I want my theme to be the humble versus the mighty. Maybe the meek inherit the earth kind of an idea. So we'll just make this the great gods of the world are brought low by the deeds of humble adventurers. All right, pretty straightforward there. And then we got our description. Okay, so in this the story, the adventurers begin as pawns of two warring gods only to eventually bring down the structure of the society, freeing thousands from the whims of these capricious gods. Yes, I spelled capricious correctly. It's going to be a good day. All right, let's go on to the next one there. Save that. So here is our new campaign. It's now being created. Where would I start and how to do this? Now, when we create a new campaign, Scabbard's going to walk you through some of these sort of tips and tricks. So click plus to add pages. You got these great little tool tips that come up there. You can see those coming up there. So many things to choose from, and this is where it gets a little bit overwhelming, right? Because there's so many things to start with and so many things that you can do to get it started. And let's just do, I'm going to do got it right there because I am going to start from scratch. We're going to actually, we'll do another video on assigning players. We'll do a video on each one of these little buttons right here. I want to tell you where I might start, and it is a place. So if you got a campaign, it's got to happen somewhere. So maybe the first thing that we're going to go through is a place. So I'm going to create a place here, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this. And I'm not going to be doing any pictures during this. So if you want to do pictures for your campaign, absolutely, you should do that. It brings a lot of life into it. Really cool. You can even make some pictures. You can put them into PowerPoint or something like that and put a nice title across it. We're not going to do any of that in this video. It's really just about the steps to walking through getting started on a new campaign. All right, so new place. We're going to call this land. Let's see. I know you guys are probably thinking of really, really good names, and I've got nothing right now. I'm looking around the room for inspiration. I see a picture here. I've got brown patterns in it. I've got a picture of the Eiffel Tower over here. Let's see. Oh, I got it. Let's call it the craggy towers. All right, so we'll call it the craggy towers. Starting place for the new campaign. Now, this is just a location in my campaign. All right, we'll call this a dark and dusty. I like the dusty. It gives you that kind of feeling like we're out in the middle of nowhere. A tower built 1,000 years ago. Is the home of refugees of the war, I like this, of the mountains. Ooh, that's good. So what have I got in here? I have got all kinds of cool stuff. I've got a dark and dusty tower built 1,000 years ago, home of refugees of the war of the mountains. Let's say the tower is run by somebody. It's run by Generals Crad, a veteran soldier cares for the wounded in the battles on the blood fields. All right, good enough. All right, so we'll click save. We have worked on campaigns in the past. We did a lot of our work maybe in a digital document, like a Word doc or a Google Doc or something like that. And other times, if you've got a campaign software somewhere sitting out there, maybe you can cut and paste into Scabbard. Now, not everybody's got this feature, and maybe your campaign manager doesn't have something like this, but I like this feature, so I'm going to show it to you. So check this out. So I just wrote up my little new place, the Craggy Towers, right? Now I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to click this button right here, Scan, okay? This is a really easy way to start generating some new entries and to begin to generate some new ideas. So I'm going to click the scan button, proper noun detector. Watch this. it looks through the text of the document that I just put in there and tries to find proper nouns. It's pretty straightforward, right? So it found the War of the Mountains. Now I can write a brief description. A battle that has gone on for millennia, ages, and between two minor deities. All right, which I can't spell. All right. That's great. Deities. We're going to call them gods. Terrible spelling on that one. Good before, not so good right now. All right, and then I'm going to click Create Page Type. All right, so the War of the Mountains. I could go with a variety of different ones here. I'm actually going to go with an event. It's a past event, but it's an event. I can also make it secret right here. And if you make something secret in here, then it can only be seen by really three people. The GM, who is running the campaign, you. If you have an assistant GM, you can set an assistant GM up in here. You can also set up a insider. Now, an insider allows a person essentially to have GM rights over a particular entry. So in this case, I could take, if there's another person who's going to write up my whole history for the War of the Mountains for me, then great. I can make them an insider on this, and then they can control that. I can show you how to do that in just a second. Now I'm going to create that, and you'll notice it says create a connection. So how is this connected to the entry that I just made? It's a setting, right? So I'm going to click connect. Craggy Towers is a setting for the War of the Mountains. Now I've got another one here. I got the Blood Fields. The Blood Fields, a plain where thousands of battles have been fought over the years. All right. This place is the Blood Fields is also a place. So we're going to call it a place. And we can make it secret. We're going to call it, create that there. And connection. Oh, this is good. I'm going to make this a neighbor of, all right? If this was a space campaign, it could be in the orbit of. It could be the capital of. A lot of different choices here. I'm actually going to make it the neighbor of the Craggy Towers. We'll click connect. All right, pretty cool there. All right, General Karad. This is our NPC. That's going to be the wizened, like that word, old soldier who cares for the wounded who escape the blood fields. Not bad. All right, so now we can choose a page type for this guy. This is a character. I'm not going to make him secret, so we'll create that right now. The connection is, he is the leader of the Craggy Tower. All right, click OK. Boom. Now we've got three new. Watch what happens when I click the X on here. It's going to actually generate those, refresh the page, and boom, on the left-hand side, I have got three new connections that I can begin to build my campaign on, right? I can talk more about General Krod, the Blood Fields, the War of the Mountains, any of those. They all work great, right? And you'll notice it has already linked them in here. So, that's the nice thing about this system is that if it's in the text and you've created an entry for it, it's actually going to generate a link in here as well as having the connections on the left-hand side. Now, if I had a map, I could throw that in there. If there was stats, I could edit that too. So in the stats, this is really just a simple table that you can set up in here, and you can make it secret or not secret, and the table works very simply. So if I go stats, I can just call it stats, right? And then we could say population. Oops. Population in there, and then you could put in defenses, right? You could put in I don't know, something like height, right? And then you just write that in there. So we'll say that there's 300 people in there, and ballistas in there, and then height 100 feet. And if you don't put anything in this other section here, by the way, it won't generate that column. That's kind of a nice little feature there. We'll click save. And then boom, I've got stats in there, okay? And that's it's just a simple table. There's other ways to put tables in there. One of the great things about this particular system, Scabbard, accepts cut and paste from Word documents and Google Docs. There's some issues with images on Word docs, but images in Google Docs work fabulous. So you can just literally take your entire document, you can copy it and then paste it right in here if you want to. And if you have a table in there, it's going to keep that table. It's going to keep those fonts. It's going to keep some of the colors. It's really kind of cool. So what I'm doing right now, I'm coming straight from my brain, but if I was going from a Google Doc, I just want you to know it pastes beautifully in there. If I set up a sub-region of the Craggy Towers, so we'll call this a sub-region in here. Oh, I should tell you what I just did there. What I did was I went to Connections. So Connections is a great place to go to generate new items. So I can write it in here if I want, or I can click the Connections button here or there. Right? And over here on at the top, you've got some other really great options. I mentioned that you can make an insider there. You can actually change the page type. If you mess that up, you can change it to an event or something like that. You can set up your insider. So if you have players for your campaign, we'll show that in another video. You can make them sort of an assistant GM on here. Really, really cool. So you can do that in here. All right, I'm actually going to click this little chain link right there. That's a connection button. I'm going to click that right there, and I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and I'm actually going to create a sub-region for this place. We're going to call it the War Room. And if you type that in there, and actually, I could do this. I could call this the Craggy Tower War Room. All right, you got a couple choices up here at the top. You can make it secret. You can say this is the former location of or something like that. So you have all these choices. That's the great thing about this. You have all these choices, and really these are here to just generate ideas for you, right? Headquarters, home of, in the orbit of, a note. You can connect a note to this if there's like details about the structure of it or something like that. You can, if you set this as a setting of an adventure, we'll talk about adventures in another video. You can see some of my other adventure videos. You can set that there. Either way, once you click save, it's going to give you a place to write the description, sort of like the proper noun detector did. It says, now describe this, a 30 by 30 foot room that was once used to plan battles. Right there, and then we're going to click OK. All right, and it notifies you that until you click the save button down here, this guy right here is not going to be created. And you notice there's some really cool sort of tool tips to help you think through what these things are all about. Add places adjacent, who owns this location, just some questions to help you think through some of these connections here. Then we'll click save. All right, now it's created, and you'll notice now I have a Craggy Tower War Room in my subregions for Craggy Tower. So this is a great way to build a dungeon, by the way. So if you create a dungeon and you want to create room after room after room after room, and then upload a map, it'll have all your sub-regions of your dungeon listed there. And then on your map, this is kind of cool, and we'll do this on another video, you can link those with pins. All right, so we'll do one more of these just to show you how to get started on some of this stuff. We'll do the leader, General Crad. All right, and you'll notice it just does this automatically generated photo there. So you probably want to, right now it doesn't really look like a wizened old soldier who cares for the wounded, but we'll upload a picture later. All right, and we can click our connections. All right. Now, the great thing about this page is it allows us to generate entries fairly quickly. So one of the things that I like to do when I'm creating a campaign is I like to put some placeholders out there for things I'd like to work up later that could be important. In this case, I think an early adventure might involve a General Crad sending out my party of player characters to take on one of his enemies, all right, which is causing problems for the refugees maybe or something like that. So that sounds like a pretty fun adventure. We'll work that up later. So I'm going to go to enemy of right here. I don't have the brain power right now to think of the name of this enemy. I don't know what race this is going to be, female, male, I don't know. But I'm going to type Crad's enemy. Beauty is, that's really all I need to do. The enemy of Crad. Cool, right? Now I'm done with that, and then I'm going to create Crad's son. No, daughter. Crad's got a daughter we need to help. Maybe the enemy kidnapped the daughter or something like that, or the son or something like that. So we're going to say father of character Crad's. We'll go with daughter. All right. Well, Crad could be a mom, right? Doesn't matter. I could change that to mother of, right? So we can flip that all around. We can do that later. And then I'm going to click somewhere. That's going to give me the pop-up. And this is the daughter of Crad. And now we'll click save. It's going to be that pop-up reminding me I have to save. All right, so we're going to save that. And now on the left-hand side, I've got my connections to the things that I created. So I know I got to come back in later when I have a little bit more brain power, get myself a cup of coffee, and I can think of who these people are, right? And I can also upload a character sheet for Crad at some point. If I have a character sheet, I can upload it there. Maybe I've got a PDF I've worked up from some other location, picture of a paper sheet if you got that. I can just add in the stats if I want to right there. If I wanted to put those in, especially with an NPC, sometimes all you need is their damage and basic stats like that, their AC. All right, so we're going to go over to this little tab right here. This is kind of cool. This gives me the family relationships that Crad has. You'll see I already set up Crad's daughter there, so it's going to give me that. It does all kinds of crazy stuff in here, half-siblings and grandparents, and it'll list out cousins and all kinds of things. But it'll stick them all right there. That's kind of cool. All right, so right over here on the left-hand side, you see that little tiny plus button? Really cool what you can do with this. Check this out. Click the plus button and you can create several new tabs that can be secret or public that people can see. So I can create a text with small images, which would be just your basic sort of extra article to go on top of this article right here. And I can put an image in there, whatever I want. You can do a map, a second map if I want, just for Crad. Maybe, I don't know, a map of his armor. Doesn't matter. I can add in a PDF. So if you want to upload a PDF, it works a little bit like the character sheet. That's kind of cool. And then Chartopia. I'm not going to go into Chartopia right now. It's another website that you can go to, and you just need to get the link for your chart in there. You can actually roll some things in here, like you can do a rollable chart in there. That's kind of a cool little feature. All right. We're not going to go into that too much. I just wanted to let you know that they're available. It's kind of advanced features there, so we'll go into those later. All right, so that's pretty much it for this video. As you can see, we got a lot done in a short period of time with our new campaign. So we're going to come back in. I'm going to do additional campaigns on how to use these folders right here to organize our campaign, how to write a note, and how those are valuable for things like currency and things like that. So we can even, and then we'll talk about session logs, using session logs to keep track of things. You can make your players insiders on your session log so they can go in and write their notes for how things went during that session. That's a really cool thing that you can do with your campaign. And then the adventure button, which allows you to do either a basic adventure just starting from scratch, sort of a page like what we were doing here, or you can click that button and go over to the adventure builder, and that's an extra feature if you purchased it, where you can choose some ideas to generate new adventures for your campaign. Really, really cool there. All right, that is it for today. I am Ravensma. You've been watching GM Tips, sponsored by Scabbard RPG Campaign Manager. And remember, the best thing you can be doing right now is being with people you care about and having a great time. And I hope you're doing that right now.